This is a video in a playlist. This is I'm sorry, it's not. It's 4 Maccabees, chapter 4. Now, there was a certain Simon, a political opponent of the noble and good man Onias, who then held the high priesthood for life. When, despite all manner of slander, he was unable to injure Onias in the eyes of the nation, he fled the country with the purpose of betraying it. So he came to Apollonius, the governor of Syria, Phoenicia, and Cilicia, and said, I have come here because I am loyal to the king's government, to report that in the Jerusalem treasuries there are deposited tens of thousands in private funds, which are not the property of the temple, but belong to King Seleucus. When Apollonius learned the details of these things, he praised Simon for his service to the king, and went up to Seleucus to inform him of the rich treasure. On receiving authority to deal with the matter, he proceeded quickly to our country, accompanied by the accursed Simon and a very strong military force. He said that he had come with the king's authority to seize private funds in the treasury. The people indignantly protested his words, considering it outrageous that those who had committed deposits to the sacred treasury should be deprived of them, and did all that they could to prevent it. But, uttering threats, Apollonius went on to the temple, while the priests, together with the women and children, were imploring God in the temple to shield the holy place that was being treated so contemptuously. And while Apollonius was going up with his armed forces to seize the money, angels on horseback, with lightning flashing from their weapons, appeared from heaven, instilling in them great fear and trembling. And then Apollonius fell down, half dead, in the temple area that was open to all, stretched out his hands toward heaven, and with tears besought the Hebrews to pray for him. Propitiate the wrath of the heavenly army. For he said that he had committed a sin deserving of death, and that if he were delivered, he would praise the blessedness of the holy place before all the people. Moved by these words, Onias the high priest, although otherwise he had scruples about doing so, prayed for him, lest King Seleucus suppose that Apollonius had been overcome by human treachery and not by divine justice. So Apollonius, having been preserved beyond all expectations, went away to report it to the king what had happened. When King Seleucus died, his son Antiochus Epiphanes succeeded to the throne, an arrogant and terrible man, who removed Onias from the priesthood and appointed Onias' brother Jason as the high priest. Jason agreed that if the office were conferred upon him, he would pay the king 3,660 talents annually. So the king appointed him high priest and ruler of the nation. Jason changed the nation's ways of life and altered its form of government in complete violation of the law, so that not only was a gymnasium constructed at the very citadel of our native land, but also the temple service was abolished. The divine justice was angered by these acts and caused Antiochus himself to make war on them. For when he was warring against Ptolemy in Egypt, he learned that a rumor of his death had spread, and that the people of Jerusalem had rejoiced greatly. He speedily marched against them, and after he had plundered them, he issued a decree that if any of them should be found observing the ancestral law, they should die. When, by the means of decrees, he had not been able in any way to put an end to the people's observance of the law, but saw that all his threats and punishments were being disregarded, even to the point that women, because they had circumcised their sons, were thrown headlong from the heights along with their infants, though they had known beforehand that they would suffer this. When then his decrees were despised by the people, he himself, through torture, tried to compel everyone in his nation to eat defiling foods and renounce Judaism.